tenor and the whole approach of what academia has become seems to reflect a completely upside down world. You must feel very fortunate to be at a place at York where you say they're pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty good here, and I realize how fortunate I am. But I mean, every school at one point was pretty good until it wasn't, right? So I have to stay vigilant.
It's the same phenomenon of intolerance. And
you mentioned Marxist thought. You alluded to the Frankfurt School. For a good century, cultural Marxists have been using people of color, specifically Black people, for their purposes. And it's not just Herbert Marcuse in the 60s who looked at Black people and said, we don't need to convince white people to join the proletariat. They're already pissed at the world. They're already upset with the country and things like that and the way things are. Let's just ride that. Leon Trotsky did the same thing. And
plus there are these great liberal impulses that we can play on in the faculty lounges. People do want to do the right thing.
And you speak of Marxism. The person who gave the speech that I talked about at the beginning of this interview is a card-carrying Marxist. He will tell you proudly, and for as long as you will listen, right, that he is a Marxist. And if you go back to 100 years ago, 102 years ago, Lenin talking about education and saying, communism is the alpha and the omega of education. Yeah, we may teach math, but math insofar as it can help us buttress communism. History insofar as it can help us buttress communism. And that's going on today. In fact, if you replaced communism in Lenin's speech with anti-racism, it sounds a lot like Ibram X. Kendi. It sounds a lot like Robin DiAngelo.
Sure. And by virtue of both of them essentially being statements of religious faith, there's still a point at which no matter what you say, it simply isn't going to matter because it's not really a discussion. Who are you talking to? Is he listening to you, or is that a one-way conversation?
That's a one-way conversation, but I stopped talking to them a long time ago. When I do talk to them, I'm using them as a catalyst for speaking, my thoughts to the people who are listening in.
People often say to me, "Why are you responding to this guy? He's nothing." I said, "No, I have no interest in trying to convince this person of anything." But I have 200,000 people who are watching to see what I have to. I mean, that's an opportunity for me to frame things.
Right.
And
and the people who are still on the fence about things, the people who are a little confused about what's going on, the people who think they must be missing something because this isn't making sense, I'm talking to them.